Alright, let's see what we got. I'm still a little sick, so my voice starting to kick out. It's a little hoarse, but we can't stop the hustle. We can't stop the grind. We got to keep going. You know what I'm saying? We trying to get monetized by the end of the year, so y'all help me out, man. Y'all hit the subscribe button, the like button, comments, all that shit go a long way. You dig? So we gonna see who we got. Rap's craziest rebrands. It's a lot of them I could think about. And Drake was one of them. There's a couple of them. Post is one of them. Let's see who they talking about.
Whether it's hardcore rappers like Comethazine rebranding to a mellow, psychedelic rock star, or rappers like Machine Gun Kelly, who fans theorize got cooked so bad by Eminem's
I haven't seen Machine Gun Kelly in a while.
To pop punk. There have been a lot of very surprising rebrands to come out of the rap community. So today we're going to be looking
from the way Post came in the game to the way Post is now. Two totally different people. Yachty too. When Yachty first came in the game, it was so clean cut. Post was so clean cut, you know what I'm saying? Niggas ain't have tattoos, they wasn't doing this, that, and the third, and then they just poof. They just start acting a whole different person once they get that money, you hear me?
Into rap's craziest rebrands, starting out with Comethazine. Also, really quick, I want to say that I just learned you can put your description in case you're in. Craziest rebrands I've ever seen in rap. One that caught everyone off guard. And to understand why he rebranded, we got to go back to the beginning of his career. Comethazine came out of the gate swinging with his viral song Bands. Later that year, in 2018, he released his debut album Bosky, which featured the track Walk. This song was another viral hit, and he also got a Lyrical Lemonade video for it. If you haven't heard a Comethazine song or heard of him, he was just always on demon time. He was dropping minute-and-a-half songs that were fire with the meanest demeanor.
That boy looking like
Will Smith's son is.
He looking like
Jaden, and there wasn't even a beat. He was just talking crazy.
That boy tried to play me, now he on his deathbed. Paramedics pulled a slug out his head.
This was basically all of his songs except with a really good beat behind them. In 2019, he was selected for the XXL freshman class and clearly was blowing up. I will say his songs were getting a little repetitive over time, but when he would get the right beat, his songs went crazy. Tracks like Solve the Problem, Find Him, DeMar DeRozan, and many more were all doing solid numbers around this time. Comethazine was really killing the game from like 2018 to 2020. He also went viral for things like his Genius interview.
Knock off a cracker for calling me racism. 69 niggas and all of them rats. Niggas think I'm dissing 6ix9ine. Definitely was though. But shit, you can take it how you want it though. It's not necessarily a diss. You feel me? You know, I said 69 niggas. So it could have been 70 niggas, it could have been 68, could have been 65. I wanted to say 69, so I did. Niggas know what the fuck it meant.
But like I said, his music started to get a little repetitive. Like by 2022, this man was already on Bosky 5. And even then, I still think he had good tracks, like 500 Hours went crazy. However, this was also reflected in his sales, as they were on a downward trend with every project, as well as chart positions. Regardless though, after releasing that album, Comethazine sort of just went MIA. Then, randomly in 20...
What happened to that little dude who they talking about, he was a clone, or he had a clone of himself. I remember that buzzing for a minute, and that shit disappeared.
24. Comethazine posted some pictures on his Instagram where he looked a bit different. The location was the UK, and he was wearing this collared shirt, and he had a mustache with some cool aesthetic-looking filters on. Fans were pretty confused, but if you go back on his Instagram, you can see he was teasing it by captioning a baby picture of himself from 2021, Frank Cole. This was edited, so it could have been changed later, but who knows. Then he posted more pictures, this time accompanied with a video of him playing.
He's spending a lot of time on game. I don't know who the hell that is. I hope there's...
playing guitar. Fans were really confused. I mean, what happened to the guy that would walk around looking like a demon, and why is he shredding on the guitar now? Throughout 2024, he kept posting these pictures and videos without any context at all. He just kept posting these mysterious ass pictures accompanied with more videos of him playing the guitar. And he did get way better too as time went on. There was also vids of him skating with some dude speaking French in the background. There's even videos of him playing guitar live in concert. So by this point, it was pretty clear that Comethazine had rebranded to Frank Cole, but no one really knows why or what that means yet. If you look up Frank Cole on YouTube, you are met with this channel called Frank Cole / Franz Cole, with one video posted to it called Smokestack Lightning. I suggest listening to it after this video, but it's just some guitar with some like ethereal singing in the background. All the comments are saying things like, this has to be the craziest rebrand an artist has ever done, or craziest switch up since Pink Guy to Joji. There's also this little conversation between him and a friend on the phone in the middle of the video where he's speaking German. I translated it and they're just talking about random stuff, nothing too particularly interesting. Really, the whole video just felt like a trailer for an upcoming album, and he kept talking about like the summertime, it's happening in summer, so maybe that's when he plans on dropping. His bio on Instagram also says Electric Mazeland, and a fan messaged him asking about that album. Frank responded, been working on the project for going on 2 years. I can't tell you what to expect, that will be inevitable to the individual universal emotion, but I will deliver Diamond Records, and never have I ever. So maybe you can imagine what a Diamond record sounds like. I love my cult, I'm often absent, but that's for personal reasons. I have a job to do, and for me, self-sanity is a huge part of that job. Going forth, my influence will grow to a larger number of listeners, so my absence has been mere preparation for such change. I'll be around supplying and guiding you guys for as long as you... Congratulations, fans will first. How excited I am to hear what Comethazine and now Frank Cole decides to bring to the table. This is
knowing when to go hard.
This is kind of random, but he also has this website in his Instagram bio called Maze Drone Pictures with a flyer for a movie called 202, which is presented as a Frank Cole film. I have no idea what any of this means, but it's all very mysterious. Regardless, I'm excited for some new Frank Cole. And while fans in general seem to really enjoy Comethazine's very mysterious transformation, the same can't quite be said for Machine Gun Kelly. Machine Gun Kelly is a rapper who was very successful.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't remember him switching up, but he did went from rapping to like more pop star, rock star shit
For a while, but after a beef with Eminem, he decided to switch genres entirely. It all started in the...
that's fucked up. I remember the beef with Eminem. Eminem ran that boy out the rap game. That's cool.
Late 2000s, when MGK put out a bunch of mixtapes and then signed to Diddy's Bad Boy Records. Over the 2010s, he put out a good amount of fairly successful albums. His debut album, Lace Up, hit number 4 on the Billboard 200. And over the years, he released a few more albums that had similar success, and he was a fairly successful rapper with a decent core fan base. But then he got into some beef with Eminem. I'm not going to go too deep into this beef as I broke the whole thing down in a previous video, but regardless, without going too deep into the backstory, MGK said a bunch of stuff over the years that pissed off Eminem. So, Eminem hit him with a diss on his surprise album.
Yeah, I really don't even know why they started beefing. I think he liked the M daughter or something like that.
Kamikaze. He spent half of a verse going after MGK, mentioning how he had to team up with Tech 9 to diss him. He made fun of MGK for sneak dissing, and he also talked about how MGK was mentioning M's daughter Haley. Then, Machine Gun Kelly responded with a whole diss track called Rap Devil, which did very well commercially. Then Eminem
I'm about to say the diss he did against M was cool. I remember. I thought it was decent. He was rapping some shit. You know what I'm saying? They just said that he lost, but he did his thing. He should have been proud of it.
With his diss track, Kill Shot, which many fans think won Eminem the beef. But another big theory from around this time is that Machine Gun Kelly losing the beef caused him to switch genres entirely. That's because the next year, MGK released his album Hotel Diablo, which was a rap/rock sort of album where he was clearly experimenting a bit. He hinted in an interview that the genre change was in part due to his beef with Eminem. As he said, as a hip-hop album, Diablo is flawless front to back, and also a hint at the evolution of how I went into a pop-punk album. But it was coming off the tail end of that infamous beef with Eminem, so no one wanted to give it the time of day. But after the album Hotel Diablo, MGK went fully into pop punk. He released 2 albums, Tickets to My Downfall and...
See, he would have done better to just hit him with a full hip-hop album right after the beef with Eminem and probably keep it going for throw some more shots in the hip-hop album, but you bagged out early.
Mainstream Sellout, both of which were entirely pop punk songs. He also changed his entire aesthetic from trying to look like a tough rapper to dressing in all pink and always posing with a guitar. Machine Gun Kelly even changed his name on streaming platforms to be just MGK, which clearly he's trying to be a bit more aesthetic. And while MGK has a strong fan base with his new genre switch-up, the broader pop-punk community doesn't seem to accept him. A fan on Reddit said, "What does the pop-punk community think of Machine Gun Kelly?" To which someone responded, "I think it could be good, but it's extremely shallow and he reuses tropes from pop-punk 20 years ago, basically devolving the scene, and in 3 years when the mainstream decides pop-punk is childish and old and moves on, the bands underneath that have actually been busting ass to evolve the music will take a hit for it, and many others feel the same."
This is some of the most insultingly generic, non-specific pop punk I have heard in my life. The tracks that incorporate trap beats suck. The mix most of the time is so compressed that it's
crazy. See, you put that in the atmosphere. You put that, you know what I'm saying, you falling off and downfall. You put all that out there. You should have never named your album Tickets to My Downfall.
It is mushy, sloshy, sounds disgusting. I could not pick out MGK as a pop punk singer from a lineup of lyrics read like angsty trite from It's About as rebellious.
With Asana, AI teammates are here to help keep work on track.
I don't get why you talking like that.
Try it for free.
I get it, but it's pissing me off.
Dance your way to LA.
And battle for a chance to win.
Is not good.
That's by Paramore, and I think that really sums up just how bland his vocals were. So if you want to get an idea of how boring the vocals were, I would listen to that track because he just sucks the life right out of it. Regardless though, I will say, MGK does have a pretty strong fan base that has enjoyed his transition to pop punk, so at least it's going well for him. And while MGK fully committed to his transition, Lil Wayne had a little bit of a rock phase, and after it didn't go so well, he went back to rap. Back in 2009, Lil Wayne had
he was just trying that rock shit out. He was just experimenting, you know what I'm saying? That's all.
Just recently,
you can't blame a nigga. You been rapping since a child. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of platinum albums. You like, fuck it, let me dip my hand in something different. Then he traveling so much, got into the skateboarding phase. Like, it introduced you to new things. That skateboarding phase probably will introduce him to the Rockstar phase.
Released his iconic album, The Carter 3. He was a decade and 5.
I need to know who he was around that time, because it's always who he around when he switch up his style. You know what I'm saying? From the Dipsets to the Gillies to like whoever. When he around somebody, he adapt his style and turn it to his. So.
Studio albums into his career and had already seen a ton of success. He had released a bunch of mixtapes and sold millions of copies of his albums. He was actually putting out so much music that people criticized him, with 50 Cent saying, "A whore sleeps with whoever will pay him, so we gotta call him a whore if he'll just go with whoever pay him to be on their records." Regardless, by the time Lil Wayne had released The Carter 3, he was already a big deal. But after releasing that album, he just soared to higher heights. The Carter 3 was heavily anticipated, especially because of the success of its predecessor.
That was hood Wayne right there. Wayne was still in his bag, coming up as on some, you know, gangster shit. It hit me. Like the hustler shit, hustler music, you know what I'm saying? And then he just switched.
When The Carter 3 was actually released in 2008, it was extremely successful, selling over 1 million copies in its first week. In the first day alone, he sold 423,000 copies. The album featured artists like Jay-Z, T-Pain, and Busta Rhymes. The first single, Lollipop, peaked at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and stayed there.
That was the first switch. That motherfucking Lollipop. Lollipop went so crazy. I ain't like the song, but I'm talking about it went so crazy for him. Like, for as like a big ass song, and he probably, cause I remember him talking about it. It was like he tried to make the stupidest song he could make, and then people like that shit though.
There for weeks. The second single was A Milli, which was another top 10 hit and also a classic. The album won 3 Grammys, 1 for Best Rap Album, 1 for Best Rap Performance, and 1 for Best Rap Song. Critics loved the album as well, with Rolling Stone putting it on their 500 Greatest Albums of All Time list, and Billboard putting it on their top. Rolling Stone putting it
written by Brent Scott. Like, what you mean written by? Who written what? The album?
It on their 500 Greatest Albums of All Time list, and Billboard putting it on their top 200 albums of the decade list. By 2020, The Carter was certified 6 times platinum. Lil Wayne was on top of the world, with many considering him the greatest rapper at the time. So I'm sure you can imagine how surprising it must have been when, after rapping his ass off for like a decade, and then releasing one of the most successful rap albums of that time period, Lil Wayne followed up with a rock album. The producers Cool and Dre said that following the more experimental song Phone home on the Carter 3, they thought Wayne could explore different sounds, which opened up the possibility of a rock album. Wayne had foreshadowed the rock album before, as he was a huge fan of the genre, and he said in particular he really liked Nirvana. He had also collaborated with Weezer on the song Can't Stop Partying right before the release of his rock album. Still, people were very shocked at the drastic change that Lil Wayne had went through. It didn't help that Lil Wayne himself said the album was originally going to be leftover songs.
Is that his mama? Is that Mesita? I don't know.
Songs from the Carter 3 studio sessions, and even some of the producers that worked on the project with him, Infamous and Drew Correa, were shocked. Correa said, "We thought he was joking," and Infamous said, "There were rumors Wayne was working on a rock album, but I assumed it was just 808 drums with guitars on it. But that night when we worked on the track, Wayne said he wanted lots of drums, bass, and guitar. Drew started to add organs and Wayne said no. That's when I realized it was actually going to be a real rock album." And that duo ended up doing 3 songs off of the project. Lil Wayne said in an interview with Billboard, "I don't want people to think I'm trying to do something I can't do. Don't think you're going to put on the album and hear me screaming and singing." He went on to say he has no limits on this album and that he's just having fun. So after the releases of the singles Prom Queen, On Fire, and Drop the World, he released the album Rebirth in February of 2010. The only hip-hop track on this album was Drop the World featuring Eminem, which was very successful. The rest of the album, however, was received pretty poorly.
I was about to say, I didn't think that was a rock type album, but I liked it. Pick the World Up, Drop Me on Your Fucking Head. I liked it.
It did alright commercially, selling 176,000 copies first week, although I'm assuming most people were just checking it out because, you know, it's Lil Wayne and not giving it too many more spins. But in comparison to his previous first week sales of 1 million, it wasn't that great. I listened to the album myself and I can kind of see the appeal, especially if you're a Wayne fan, but personally, I didn't think it was that good. However, critics tore this album apart with tons.
You did it. You built a successful business
Critics
and made it
hate
look
change,
easy.
I'll tell you that.
But at US Bank, we remember
Tons of negative reviews from every outlet, and to this day, it's his worst reviewed album. Anthony Fantano even put it on his 15 worst albums of the 2010s list.
And that is Lil Wayne with Rebirth. One, it's nothing but
like him.
Just that.
Infamous guitar solo from Lil Wayne. Clearly it wasn't great, with one of the top comments being, "I come back here when I feel like quitting guitar." Lil Wayne bounced back immediately with his album The Carter 4 the following year, selling again nearly 1 million copies first week. But it's clear that after being sandwiched in his catalog between 2 albums from the Carter series, that it wasn't a very successful attempt at rock. Even though the album wasn't received too well, I think it did open the doors for a lot of artists to come. It's no secret that Lil Wayne has a huge influence on rappers nowadays, with popular artists like Lil Uzi Vert, who has also ventured into rock. Another artist that was influenced by Wayne was Trippie Redd. So just because Rebirth didn't go over so well doesn't mean that Wayne hasn't inspired an entire generation of rappers who want to experiment with other genres. This is the argument that Complex recently used to say that Rebirth was good.
Wayne started all this shit. Guitar, tattoos, dreads, skinny jeans, big clothes, big boots, like all of it.
And
the way you talk, the punching in and the rapping, like
I don't think most people would agree with that argument, but it is true that it did influence a lot of people. More recently, Lil Wayne was featured twice on Machine Gun Kelly's album Mainstream Sellout, so he's still experimenting with the sound even 12 years later. So even though Rebirth didn't go over too well, at least Lil Wayne was just having fun, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. And while Lil Wayne didn't commit to his transition, Post Malone went all out. Post Malone had one of the most controversial rebrands on this list, and that's because when he
I blame Charlemagne and the Breakfast Club. They ran him out of hip-hop.
transitioned out of rap, he had made some comments that upset the broader hip-hop community, which had led to many people calling him a culture vulture throughout his career. Before Post Malone blew up as a rapper, he was actually attempting to make country music. He posted things like Bob Dylan covers and was pretty good at playing guitar long before he entered the hip-hop scene. He also made this classic track called Why Don't You Love Me, which was neither country or rap. Regardless, he also had made some rap songs at a young age, making his first mixtape at 16. He played around with music for a while and then recorded his breakout hit, White Iverson. This song went crazy, peaking at number 14 on the Billboard Hot 100, and it basically broke Post Malone into the game. And by all means, it was a rap song. I mean, it had rolling hi-hats, a mix of rapping and singing, and clearly Post was doing some pop rap type of music. Post Malone followed up with a mixtape and his album Stoney, which did insanely well. He also worked with artists like Kanye, Quavo, Justin Bieber, and more around this time. And despite Stoney having a variety of sounds, Post Malone did call it a hip-hop album, along with his mixtape. But after his huge blow-up, Post Malone also had a lot of backlash for being what many called him a culture vulture. And I'd say that most of it started because of some comments he made in very poor taste. In an interview with New Once, Post Malone said, "If you're looking for lyrics, if you're looking to cry, if you're looking to think about life, don't listen to hip-hop. There's great hip-hop songs where they talk about life and they spit that real shit, but right now, there's not a lot of people talking about real shit. Whenever I want to cry, whenever I want to sit down and have a nice cry, I'll listen to some Bob Dylan. Or whenever I'm trying to have a good time and stay in a positive mood, I listen to hip hop because it's fun. I think hip hop is important because it brings people together in a beautiful, happy way." As I'm sure you can imagine, this upset a lot of rap fans. And it's very understandable. I mean, it sounded like he walked back his statement right as soon as he said it because he knew it was kind of dumb. He said no one nowadays is making deep, thought-provoking rap music, which one, isn't true in and of itself. And then when he talked about the genres that do make you feel something, he went straight to Bob Dylan, who's not a current generation artist. And especially since Post Malone had just blew up off of songs with rap beats and his whole image was grills, tats, and basically the entire SoundCloud rapper aesthetic, people just were not understanding why he made this comment. A lot of people agreed with this sentiment, with even Lil B calling Post Malone a culture vulture, to which Post responded,
"I don't know what happened, because Lil B has always had nothing but nice things to say."
Yeah.
So it's a mystery, and if he's hacked or if he's not.
No, how do you feel about being like a white guy in hip hop? Do you feel like sometimes it's held against you?
Yeah, a lot, especially coming into the game, and especially being so young and not really having an identity, being a young kid, and there's so much going on around you, and it's so easy to.
I can't help it if I'm popping, see them watch like.
To be someone else or something and want to be something that you're not, but coming into my own and really figuring out who I am and what kind of music I want to make and how I want to really shift the culture and shift the genre is, I think, now I think with this last album, I've shut a lot of people up that just wanted to call me a cultural appropriator or a one-hit wonder or something, like that.
Again, this rubs some people the wrong way and would become a theme throughout Post Malone's entire career. And of course, on top of all of this, a video was leaked that showed Post Malone saying the N-word as a kid, which definitely didn't help his case. Like, early on in his career, he went on The Breakfast Club, and a big theme was about the fact that he was a white rapper.
Got you. Are you afraid as a white rapper that you may be considered a culture vulture?
I don't think so. I'm not scared. I'm not scared because I'm not trying to be anybody that I'm not.
True indeed.
I'm just trying to, I like what I like. And I don't think I'm biting off of a certain culture or copying a certain culture or trying to be part of a certain culture because, I like what I like.
And for all intents and purposes, you're 20, so all you know is hip hop.
Yeah, it's like, it's not even the hip hop culture. It's like, the young culture, the young generation of people, Like, they get mad because I have braids, but, I like the way it looks. They get mad because I got gold teeth or whatever. I like the way that it looks, It's not. I'm not trying to bite off anybody or anything. I'm just trying to, I like it.
What are you doing for the Black Lives Matter movement?
What? I don't know.
Is that a serious question?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
If anything.
A lot of people were mad at The Breakfast Club for this interview, saying Charlemagne was being disrespectful, but this narrative that Post Malone was a vulture would persist. He often talked about the struggle of being a white rapper and how others would view him and judge him. And he also made sure to say a lot that he wasn't just a rapper, but instead was an artist. So clearly he didn't want to be boxed in, which I get, but also the way you say it can kind of come off as like offensive. Like, oh, I'm not a rapper, I'm an artist. You know what I mean? So I think that's why a lot of people had a problem with this. Regardless though, Post Malone kept making music and released 2 more albums that had some rapping. The first was Beer Bongs and Bentleys, which had some rap songs like Rockstar, as well as some more pop songs. And then he put out Hollywood's Bleeding, which had some more rap and pop sort of songs. Then, however, he moved more towards pop on his next album, 12 Karat Toothache. But by 2024, Post Malone had mostly shifted his sound away from rap and more towards country, with albums like Austin and F1 Trillion. Many pointed out how not only did he change his sound, but also his entire style. Post Malone had slowly been moving away from hip-hop throughout his entire career, and it was extremely obvious when he finally committed to a country album working with artists like Morgan Wallen. And a lot of people were not happy with how Post Malone went about his transition. For example, one fan said, "For someone with such a critique about hip-hop, he sure did nothing to make sure his music stood out besides being white and singing over trap beats. He didn't make any hip-hop songs to grab that emotion he craved. He rapped about drugs, partying, and guns. When the formula stopped working, he switched his brand. He's this generation's Kid Rock." Another said, "Post is 100% a culture vulture. He's just a very likable person. He used the look and popularity of rap to excel his career, and when it slowed, he flipped to pop. Then when that slowed, he flipped to country." Fans of Post have countered, saying that he has always been very clearly a fan of country and always said that he wanted to make country, and that he even made country before he started rapping. However, the main critique is that despite all that, it doesn't change the fact that he used hip-hop to launch his career, all while disrespecting it in interviews. Post Malone has talked about this a lot, like I said, even as recently as last year after releasing his country album.
He was called a culture vulture, a one-hit wonder. How did that feel to you?
It sucked.
Yeah.
I was a kid.
How did that feel to you?
It sucked.
Yeah.
I was a kid.
1920. How did you deal with it?
Drink a lot.
Yeah. Did you take it personally? Because I imagine...
Absolutely. It's hard not to. It's not for the people who hate you. It's for the people who love you and for yourself.
In a New York Times interview about his transition to country, Post Malone did reveal that he thought he had made some mistakes when it came to hip-hop. He said, "I could have been kinder to people. I could have seen where people were coming from in their critiques of me, and I could have just handled things a whole lot better. I understand the mistakes that I've made in the past, and I just want to make sure the respect that I have for everything comes out." On top of this, another country artist in the interview even said Post Malone asked for permission to be involved in the genre, which clearly shows he's still a bit worried after what happened during his rap stint. But at the end of the day, Lil B was right and did predict that Post Malone would go full-on country. Post Malone's rebrand to a country artist, though, was at least expected, and he saw a good bit of success. Whereas Vanilla Ice tried to make metal music, and it went about as well as you think it might. If you guys don't remember Vanilla Ice, he's the guy who made Ice Ice Baby. Ice Ice Baby was a huge hit in their...
We, the beef people of Winn-Dixie, are united to make more perfect barbecue.
Early 90s, and it also generated a ton of controversy. It was one of his earliest songs, but it was also featured on his debut album from 1989, so he didn't have much of a foundation for his extreme success. It was actually the first hip-hop song to reach #1 on the Billboard charts. There was a lot of controversy because he sampled Queen's Under Pressure, and the song heavily relied on that sample, as Vanilla Ice didn't bring much to the table. Queen and David Bowie weren't credited for the sample, and it made a lot of people angry. He even tried denying that it was a sample from their song.
We sampled them from him, but it's not the same bass line. Like it goes ding 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 diggy ding 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 diggy ding 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 ding. That's the way theirs goes. Ours goes ding 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 diggy ding 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 diggy ding ding.
However, it was catchy and commercially appealing, so he got a bunch of attention. Vanilla Ice followed up the success of Ice Ice Baby with his major label debut to the extreme. It became the fastest selling hip hop album of all time, spent 16 weeks at #1 on the Billboard 200, and sold over 10 million copies. Vanilla Ice's success right out the gate was really crazy, but there were a few issues. A lot of people saw Vanilla Ice as more of a novelty act rather than an actual rapper. Even Eminem said that when he first heard Ice Ice Baby, he didn't even want to rap anymore. A lot of rap fans also probably felt like he was a fraud, as he was seeing all the success as a mediocre white rapper, likely viewing him as a culture vulture. People grew tired of Vanilla Ice very quick, and a lot of others already didn't like him, so he began to fall off. The next album he released was called Mind Blowin', which absolutely flopped compared to his last album. It didn't chart and it only sold 42,000 copies. Vanilla Ice blamed this on the fact that he went too mainstream, doing movies and making poppier songs rather than his more underground style of rap. Regardless, he was in a rough spot. It's possible that Vanilla Ice thought he could find a new fan base in a new genre, so this is when he attempted to make a metal album. Now, I do think that rock or metal fans would be more accepting of Vanilla Ice, especially because he's a Florida guy, he likes motocross and all the outdoorsy stuff. It just seemed like the right place for him to be, kind of like Kid Rock. He teamed up with the producer Ross Robinson, who had worked with bands like Korn, Slipknot, and Limp Bizkit, and they began working on a metal album. A lot of people were very surprised he was doing this, understandably so. Some people probably aren't aware that he was also a member of the band Pickin' Scabs for a brief period of time, in which he was trying to do a Kid Rock sort of thing by fusing rock and rap, but it didn't work out too well. Anyways though, Vanilla Ice and Ross Robinson kept working and released the album Hard to Swallow in October of 1998. He said that he wanted to express himself in a way he didn't think he could in rap, so he made a rock album. His vocals were okay on some of the songs, and the music was okay, but it seemed like no one was really even interested in checking out a Vanilla Ice nu metal album.
Yo, VIP, let's kick it. All right, stop. While I do up my laces, this kind of thing happens every show. Yo, I gotta learn how to tie a bow. What do you mean?
Don't do it for the bar, just do it for the bar, just